simply to stay warm. They are the homeless, maybe just a bit luckier because they're in Milwaukee. A story we'll explore later on Sunday morning.
A lot of them are Vietnam veterans. Some are mentally ill or physically ill. Some are single parents, mostly single mothers with no income. Some are runaway children. Some are old people. These days, more and more of them are families, mothers and fathers and children who have lost their homes because they've lost their jobs. As Bob Pierpoint is about to say, 'tis the season when we think about the homeless. But the homeless will still be there when the trees and the lights and the sidewalk Santas are gone.
You can tell it's the Christmas season because we're hearing again about the homeless. This Christmas, there are more homeless in America than ever. Some experts say as many as 2 million people live in city streets. Most of them are almost invisible. We don't notice them. We look the other way.
There is and has always been a certain tension between Christianity and capitalism.
Archbishop Rembert Weakland of Milwaukee recently led a committee of Roman Catholic bishops that drafted a pastoral letter highly critical of the nation's political and economic system for its neglect of the poor.
And certainly one cannot Christianize all aspects of capitalism. And so there will always be certain tensions there between the gospel and any economic system.
Archbishop Weakland sees that tension daily in his own town of Milwaukee.
I think it's getting worse. I've been here 9 years, and I can say over the 9 years I've seen a growth in poverty and also in the homeless. When I came here 9 years ago, I went on Thanksgiving to help out at our one food pantry, soup kitchen. There were 275 fed there that night. We were so proud. It was the biggest number we had ever fed. Now we have about 5 of these going every night in the week. That same soup kitchen is feeding now over 600 a night.
That's fine. That's fine. No, thanks. Okay. A little more?
Much of the burden of caring for the nation's poor has fallen to charities and local governments.
We are trying to accommodate those people because we have set up, we have 9 shelters here in this given area. This is the most distressed area that we have in the metropolitan area and in the city of Milwaukee.
Henry Maier has been the mayor of Milwaukee for 26 years. He headed a national committee on health care for the homeless.
5 health care programs that are joined either with the shelters or the meal sites. Now, in those health care clinics, we are moving against the health problems and the mental problems as best we can.
You said you were sick. Can you tell me why you came today?
Headaches. You know, I can't seem to get rid of because of my eye. You know, I lost my left eye.
Charles Bounds has only a part-time job and badly needs an eye operation.
It's the only place I can come, you know, because I can't afford to go nowhere else. All the people
Wisconsin Information Service.
This is Milwaukee's information center for emergency help to the poor. It operates a 24-hour hotline.
Is the heat included in his rent?
Does she live in subsidized housing or get rent assistance?
So I just called up the emergency hotline for shelters and explained to them our situation, and that's when they referred us over here.
Rick and Michelle Melville ran out of rent money. The night before we met them, they were thrown out of their home. Each of them is 18 years old. They have 2 children.
Michelle, have you ever had any experience like this before?
No. This is the first time.
Are you scared?
No, not really. I was last night, but I've kind of gotten used to it.
Milwaukee's Family Crisis Center shelters parents and children who are suddenly homeless. The average stay is about 9 days until the center finds a more permanent home for them. What do you think's going to happen now? What do you figure your future is here?
Hopefully to get another apartment and start all over.
When you say start all over?
Well, see, the landlord threw our furniture and the things that we couldn't take out, they threw it all out. We went by there yesterday to see if there was any mail, and it was all out in the trash. So we have to start from scratch, basically.
I think we have to tackle those special groups in our society that aren't making it, and especially the children. There I see no excuse. If we let that problem continue, then 10 years from now, we will really regret it.
St. Benedict's Church feeds several hundred homeless every evening. Tonight's meal includes beans and hot dogs, spaghetti, chop suey, 2 kinds of salads, cake or cookies, milk, and coffee.
Now, these people may not have had a tight family that took care of them, but if it was your family member, you would have taken care of them.
Tom Hickey runs an agency called Health Care for the Homeless in Milwaukee. Your main preoccupation in this whole thing is health of the homeless, right?
But health is everything. You can't do health without doing food, without doing shelter, without doing benefits. And you can't do food without doing health, without doing shelter. You got to do it all.
See, I would go inside and maybe tell some of the men that I know that we're outside. And they would start coming out. So what we usually do is one of us would serve and one of us try to make new contacts with people that we hadn't seen before.
Tom Hickey's latest project is a street outreach van that cruises the city seeking out the homeless.
I'm going to look for you at the library. Where's the wagon?
It's operated by Doug Kay and Joe Hunt.
I try to approach people in a human, dignified way. That's why we have the van. On the van, we have coffee, food stuff, mittens, warm things for people that might be cold. And if we can let these people see us issuing out food and coffee and stuff to other people, then hopefully they will come up and we can start a genuine conversation and in the end get them in off the street.
If you would get SSI or any kind of income, you'd think of maybe getting a room?
There's a small percentage that may be out there by choice. That's a very small percentage. Other people, it's just a financial situation that put them there. Then there's the drug and alcohol dependent people. There's the mentally ill population. Our target people are the people that are unable to come into the shelters, the meal sites, services that are available if they were capable of getting themselves in. We're going for the people that don't know better.
How come you picked Milwaukee over Chicago?
I know one thing, I'll never go hungry in Milwaukee, that's why. You eat in Milwaukee, you started that in Chicago.
How long have you been in Milwaukee?
Since 1974.
Those who work with the homeless point out that each person on the street is an individual with unique human qualities.
I was over here today for medicine. I have epilepsy and go into convulsions. I also have a heart condition. And they have maintained a rather high standard of medicine for it.
James Francois reads daily at the public library, but can't hold a job.
I need teeth. I need the side of my face was banged up pretty bad in an accident. Secondly, those seizures you have no control over. You really don't. And sometimes they can be pretty messy all the way around. I fell over in a restaurant one time. I wound up in a hospital. So it's not always drinking that gets us. This might be something, an internal disorder.
Are the homeless largely in need of medical health and mental health?
Tremendously. They live their day-to-day existence worrying about food and shelter. Their medical problems go undetected until it becomes untreatable cancer, until it's gangrene, that they're going to lose a limb, until it's congestive heart failure. And then they become nursing home patients, or they become hospice care patients, and then they're a tremendous burden to the state. It's one of those you can pay now or pay later.
There's no use kidding ourselves. We're being cut, these localities are being cut drastically at the state levels, drastically at the federal levels, and a false philosophy has been substituted that private enterprise and business will carry the load. They will not carry the load. They should not be expected to carry the load.
Maier estimates adequate care for the homeless would cost the nation initially around $50 billion. Milwaukee, even at this Christmas season, cannot afford enough beds for all in need.
I think we have to be upfront and say that the trickle-down theories have just not helped. The fact that the water's going up doesn't mean that all the boats have been rising. Certainly the churches should do more. I'm not against radical charity. Here in Milwaukee, I ask all the parishes to take a look at everything they have. All the things, all the chalices, all those gold vestments and so on. We've given much of it to missionary countries that were in need and didn't have, and the rest we're going to melt down and sell so that we can have more for the poor. But we do need more support. And I don't think that locally we can raise the kind of money that we need. But what we have to continue to do is to give people signs of hope, signs that other people care for them. I don't think our job this Christmas could ever be that we're going to raise everybody out of poverty. But we have to do little things that give people a sign of worth, of hope. And I'm sure everyone can do a little bit in that respect. And if everybody does a little bit, maybe the water might rise and bring every boat up.
It is the time of year when we hear that message clearly. It is the Christmas season, and again we are hearing about the homeless.